I don't know if y'all saw, but 23andMe is going bankrupt. And I imagine Providence has some stake in what happens with all that data, because it was y'all. It was y'all that were looking it up and like, no, I just wonder, you know what I mean? Like sometimes, I don't know, there's just some days where I feel like a little Scandinavian. And no, it's just fun to find out. It's like, just how German am I? You get those percentage breakdowns and stuff. It's like, all right, do you? I don't know. I wonder. I truly wonder. I knew they had some black people in the commercials, but I do wonder how many of us it was. Because every time I saw an ad for like a 23andMe, I was like, I have a general idea. Nah, I don't need to be sad today. I would rather not. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Send me a back. Send me a PDF that says, slavery. They got you. Nah, I was good. And one of the reasons that was good is that early on, like I'm finally vindicated where I can say this and not seem crazy, because even at best, if my thing is like wrong, it still wasn't the best business plan, so they're going to, so I don't look as, because my friends looked at me like I was out of my mind. I had so many friends, all white. I had so many friends doing 23andMe, and I was like, don't do it! And because I was a truther. I was like, look at what the company is doing and look at what they're researching. Yeah, I mean, there are so many of these like heritage companies that are also putting money into pharmaceutical industry. And it's just to figure out how much of something people get when they're a certain lineage, invest in those drugs, expecting that thing to finally pop up one day. And people were like, that's so paranoid. And I was like, yeah, paranoid is... Paranoid is like why I won't do the thing. Like, okay, how do I put this? Paranoid to me is if you're right and you're paranoid, you're like spot on. If you're paranoid and you happen to be wrong, you do start to be crazy. Like that is what a crazy person, like that's, now I'm crazy. If I was wrong and they were just a blossoming company and they were only helping the world, I'd be that one dude on the corner, don't take it. I mean, that would be me. But look, all I'm saying is I told so many people, I was like, hey, you don't need to know. You made it through. Because then I had some friends where I was like, you don't even need to know because I can tell you. How about that? I'll do you that favor. You don't need 23andMe. I'll do it for you. I have a friend who, okay, these two friends, they're the sweetest, but they make marriage such a curiosity to me because I don't get, okay, she had kind of given him this ultimatum, right? Like really, go ahead and like, we're either doing it or we're not, you're either in this or you're out, right? And so then he went ahead and proposed and they got married. They're still married. And I don't know, like as a bystander, his friend, closer to him than her, I don't know why she would do that to herself, right? Because I went out to dinner with them one time, third wheeling it. It's okay because they're married. It's not awkward. I'm just chilling with my buddies, right? My buddy and his wife, who I'm now friends with as well. And the server comes over and we're ordering. And then the server asked if there were any food allergies. I said no. And he turns to her and goes, "Do I?" "Do I have any food allergies?" And she answered. She was like, "Yeah, shellfish." He was about to order the lobster bucket. And I was like, how is it worth keeping him alive like this? You literally forced an ultimatum to make it your job to keep him alive. Your prerogative, do what you want, but wow. You ever been driving and then you see like an animal on the side of the road and you're like, oh, we have to do something. Someone might hit that animal. And so then you stop the car and you catch it and you put it in the back seat and you take it to like a local shelter or something. And they're like, hey, so sorry, we're really overrun. So then you take it home and it sort of becomes your dog over time. And you love it and you take care of it and you keep it alive. And that is exactly what she did with my friend. With my friend, she saw this dude who, if left to his own devices, would eat all the shellfish, not fully hitch himself, fully just get a puffed out head. And she was like, no, I need to not only stop that from happening, I need to make him my entire responsibility. And so when she was like, yeah, shellfish, and he was like, oh, right. I was sitting there like flabbergasted, right? And then we're eating, and as we're eating, she lightly starts choking, right? Like starts choking on her meal, and she's like doing the coughs and trying to get some water. Like just you can hear her trying to force it out, and we both recognize that she's choking, and we both we don't fully stand up because we're in a booth, but we start to like push up a little bit, like as if we're gonna have to get up, and I'm about to come around, and then he's like, spit it out. Sir, what do you think her plan is? Do you think she's like contemplating spitting out, but oh, it's just so good? I bring up this entire thing because he did a 23andMe. And I was like, bro, I can tell you right now, all right? You're half jackass. You're a quarter dumbass. And you're another quarter ass. He has a very big butt. He is thick. No, it's insane. Because then 23andMe not only was getting everyone's like data that had their DNA, also home addresses, also payment methods. So there's so many different things that are bad about a breach to 23andMe versus like a breach of Target or a breach of some other company that has a whole lot of credit card transactions, right? There's like actual things about you as a person in there. And I know as Americans, we don't care about our data. We don't. Our data, man, look, we gotta start respecting ourselves. For real, we are out here loose with our data, all right? You know what I mean? I'm not trying to shame, myself included. We are slutty with our data. Letting anybody get it. Anybody can get it. Anybody that feels like typing can get some of it. Not careful anything. We could have VPNs. We could have so much stuff. And nah. Let's be a little loose. There was already a data breach of 23andMe. And that freaked investors out. It freaked people out. It's like, what do people want with like my DNA results, you know? And then that stuff was apparently sold on the dark web in bits. And it's like, that's terrifying, because I don't know what the dark web is. Everybody keep talking about the dark web, but whenever I go to Safari, it's just regular web. Everybody talking about the dark web. I don't know. I'm not even saying I want on. I just don't know how to get on, which scares me because I feel like I might accidentally get on one day. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know how you could go somewhere? Like, to me, the dark web feels a lot like gang territory. When I was growing up, if you go on a long enough walk, you end up somewhere you're not supposed to be. But you're like, these are the same feet that take me home took me here, so I wasn't trying to do anything, but that doesn't matter. Once you're in the territory, it's like, why are you wearing that color? So then imagine, I'm just on the regular internet. I go to Safari, Firefox, any of it, and I type in the website. I get it one letter wrong. All of a sudden my screen black and the letters green. I'm sitting here trying to get out the matrix as fast as I can. And police quick with it now. They kick open the door like, why you on the dark web? It's like, no, it was my thumb. I didn't want this at all. So yeah, apparently a bunch of our data, a bunch of our DNA results are already on the dark web, which is insane. And then you have 23andMe, to their credit. This is why business is scary in the US, right? We get mad at companies for creating a product. And they used to create a product. Our parents and our grandparents know about this. They used to create a product and they put together the pieces. They had the best pieces to make the best product. And so if it ever broke down and you understood how the product was made, you could buy one of those pieces and fix that product, right? It's why our grandparents had TVs from the 60s. Because you could just go in there, you could open it up and be like, okay. And now purposefully, whether it's for IP, there are places that will sue you. There are certain phone companies that will straight up sue you if you fix people's phones for a business. Then some of those same companies will make it so everything is one use. So if it breaks, you have to buy another one, because that's how they keep the revenue coming in, right? They don't want you to be self-sufficient and actually know how to fix this thing, because then you might do it. They'd make less money. All right. So they make a worse and worse product and they charge more and more for it. And if everybody does it, it becomes the new norm. And so now you don't expect anything to last for 4 or 5 years. And that used to be short term. You used to get things that last you for 10 years. My boy's granddaddy had a laptop. It might be the first laptop. It's honestly so old, we can't even tell what the brand icon is, because that wiped away a long time ago. This computer looks like it was made in the movie Dune, like it's futuristic and old at the same time. And you turn it on and the on button is hard. It's extra hard. You got to press it with some girth. You got to really lean on that on button if you want to turn it on. If you just press it, the computer's like, you don't want it bad enough. You got to put your thumb almost in that button, and then you hear not even a click. You hear every key is clickety clacking and hard as hell. And then when you turn it on, it does cough. Turn it on, it makes all those fake internet sounds. You can hear the fan inside of it fighting for its life. The fan inside, it's because now all the blades of the fans and everything have an almost silent motion to them. Sometimes you can just hear them if they're really working overtime. I had this Lenovo laptop in college. It was one of the last laptops where it looked like, if you look close enough, you could see at least one of the fan blades moving, right? The fan in this laptop, first of all, I think it's missing a tooth. Cause it's trying, it's coughing and it's trying, and you can hear it. His computer moans. I forgot to mention that. And then if you want to turn on Wi-Fi, there's nothing clickable. You want Wi-Fi? You got to hit that switch. You got to slide a switch at the front of the computer. And then you get a little stick with the little edges on the side. Beep, 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 you know. This laptop got everything but an antenna. And his granddad knew computers, or at least he knew computers well enough back when computers first came out, like first computer, just little 0, little 1. He had it on lock. And so he fixed his laptop over and over and over again for years, to the point where even now it'll turn on. You got to press extra hard. You really got to lean your body over it, but it'll turn on. And that day is gone. We're not in that anymore. We're in the world of tech companies putting out their products and soldering it to make sure that if you open it, you destroy it, right? And 23andMe, to their credit, they came up with a good product. They came up with a very good product. The problem was you only needed it once. And so that was pretty much their undoing. Some people are going to say it was marketing. Some people are going to say it was general business plan. No, the thing that 23andMe did that was wrong in today's America was making a good product. People only needed it once and then they could forget about it. And they tried the subscription thing. They tried it. And people, even my white friends were like, no, I got it. I mean, you said 45% Scandinavian. I'm going to take your word for it. I don't need to keep spitting in cups and sending them to you. That was the other thing I didn't trust. You know what I mean? Like, you just spit in a cup and mail it. Nah. Admittedly, that was a black thing for me. I was like, I'm not just gonna put my DNA out there for someone to have in case. Imagine now your mailman a murderer. He see that 23andMe package, he's like, this'll do nicely. Now the mailman kills somebody on his normal schedule. He open up your 23andMe and then dump out your little sample. See, they did it, right? And you can tell they did because they kissed him on the forehead right after. No. And so they made a very good product. Well, some would say an incredible product. There's connection. There's connection in knowing where you come from, especially if you're deeply in search for it. Finding those answers can be really special. Not special enough for me to spit in the cup and then mail it, because it's like, nah, you're not gonna get me, right? But one day, in some way, maybe, it'd be beautiful to figure out exactly where you come from, trace your entire lineage and everything like that. But a good portion of our life is genetics, but another portion is of where you come from are the people around you. The people that raise you are where you come from. Your environment is where you come from. Your culture, your community are where you come from. You know, if you have a good handle on those things, you know yourself. All the rest of the stuff is just gravy, you know? Because they tried to do these like home diagnostics, and that was a very bad idea. They were incredibly inaccurate, so people were either thinking they were in the clear or worrying for no reason, because you would do the 23andMe, and if you did the like pro premium package with the home diagnostic stuff, they'd send your sample back. They give you a PDF being like, yeah, you got diabetes. And then you would be like, are you sure? And they would say, no, I truly have no idea. That's the other reason I didn't do it. Not only am I like, no, I'm not gonna give my DNA out. What if you're a murderer? I also don't want to worry for no reason. Now, imagine somebody sending you something in the mail that's like, it's bad. It's bad, it's very bad. I'm not sure. Don't take my word for it, but it is pretty bad. I already have people in my life to do that. Truly, I already have people in my life giving me horrific medical advice. Just some of the worst stuff you've ever heard in your entire life. I have a friend who doesn't eat vegetables. Doesn't eat vegetables because he doesn't want to eat anything too phallic. I was like, well, explain your logic to me. And he was like, no, just dog, like, why? You want me to eat a cucumber? Try to bite a cucumber right now. It's all in your face, all hard and stuff. Not me. Not me. A carrot? No. I was like, you could chop it up. That's what they do. Do you think in a salad that they just lay the whole thing down? What are you talking about? Chop it up and eat your vegetable. He's like, no. You want me to hold? First of all, you want me to hold it and chop? You want me to hold? You want me to? No. That might give me nightmares, dog. I'm like, all right, yeah, be deficient in everything then. Just walk around needing a nap twice a day. That's on you. Horrific medical advice. The type of medical advice that makes you go, oh, okay. I didn't think there'd be anything worse than WebMD, but I found you. So they were doing these home diagnostic tests and everything, and they were sending people stuff back being like, yeah, you got a bunch of like heart stuff in your family. And then they would act accordingly. They go to their doctor, they run a bunch of tests. And if they were lucky, that was like incorrect, you know? Or sometimes they would miss whole things, you know? They'd be like, nah, you good. You good. In fact, your blood pressure low. You might want to get something salty right now. Nah, hit that pork chop right quick. You have the pork chop, all of a sudden you dizzy. Why does my whole left side hurt? And so now that they're going bankrupt, there are people that are looking to buy it. And some of those people are like potentially insurers, which is terrifying. Is everything that I told people not to do when they were on the up and up. I'm like, hey, so now an insurance company is gonna buy your DNA and then not let you do any claims because they're like, no, we know you sick, dog. We saw the 23andMe. You know, because if you do a 23andMe of a corporation, they are 100% devil. Also somehow 100% efficient. No, it sucks. I look at where I come from, and like I said, it's from the people who raised me, people who put me together, or what I'm made up of. Like, there are people in my life that I was very fortunate to meet young who were much older, so they had a lot of wisdom to pass down. I remember there was this woman who would she'd just drop gems on me every now and again, out of nowhere, right? One time she said to me, she was like, you know, be very careful when you're picking a partner. Be very careful who you have a child with, because you're not making a baby, you're making a soul. And that's forever. She also once told me, don't ever trust somebody named after fruit. And I was like, what? And she was like, seriously, if somebody comes in your life named Clementine, she a hoe, all right? Don't trust any Clementines, okay? Out of nowhere one time, she told me. We were just sitting, and she was saying this about people, but she was like, when you finally see yourself the way that the people that love you see you, what a wonderful world that'll be. That's all the world's missing. It's people that see themselves the way that the people that love them see them. Truly, like, there's, in everything that people do and everything we search for, we try to find it in all these other places, but there's a level of acceptance that other people have for us, and sometimes we reject it or we think we don't deserve it. But if we could see ourselves, you wish it. You wish it on people when they're battling addiction and depression. You wish, it's like, oh, I just want you to see yourself the way I see you. If you saw yourself the way that I see you, you wouldn't feel this way about yourself. You know? She also once told me never get in an argument with a woman and then eat the pie she makes after that argument. That's a pie full of glass. One time she told me, I don't even know where it came from, but she said that sometimes when people are searching for love, that all they really need is to find someone who reminds them of their best day. Find someone who feels like their best day. You're gonna argue. You're gonna not be able to stay each other sometimes, but you can find somebody that feels like your best day. You won't always be happy, but you'll be like really in love. She was like, you find someone who feels like the best day that you've ever had. Because the best days only come once in a while. Every day can't be the best day, by definition. But if you find somebody that feels like your best day, you found a truly good life. She also told me that one time she got in an argument with her ex-husband, and she decided to let it go in that moment, you know, and bake him a pie. And she was like, wasn't my best day. I understand why people would want to do 23andMe, and I understand, at least on the surface, why they went bankrupt. They made the mistake of making a really good product and giving it to everybody, and everybody only needed it once, and that is tough. That's tough to watch people use their thing, watch that valuation go up. At one point, it was worth $6 billion. Billion. $6 billion. That's crazy. And then, they started dropping off left and right. People were like, oh, I'm not going to renew their subscription. Or I sent it to my friend, but they don't want to take it. The other reason people didn't want to take it was the other thing they did that was really good, but was their undoing, was they were helping to catch a lot of murderers. There were a lot of murderers who didn't even do 23andMe. They were like, I don't care how Scandinavian I am. And they're like, well, your cousin does. Hands behind your back. And you're over here. That's tough. That's tough. You know what I mean? Because listen. I'm not rooting for criminals, okay? But how would you feel if you did all that planning? Do you know what I mean? You do all that planning, you rob a bank, you make it out scot-free. They're gonna make a movie about this one day and not know how to end it. You made it off scot-free, didn't kill anybody, very low charges if they catch you, just brandishing a weapon. Get on the ground, you know, took all the money and stuff like that. Haven't even spent it yet. And then one day, it's very quiet. It's so quiet that you're like, damn, it's quiet in here. And maybe you live in an apartment building. You're like, usually I hear somebody arguing with their spouse, hear some kids maybe. Hear some loud music, some teenagers around here. You don't hear anything. And then out of nowhere, they bust open your door. They've cleared out all the neighbors, like, get on the ground. And you're like, what? How? How is this possible? You don't even have the money on. You planned it so well, the money's buried in another state. How? Oh, well. When you were robbing the bank, you cut your finger and it bled a little. And a brother you don't know you have spit in a cup in Providence, Rhode Island. And honestly, we wouldn't have found you if it wasn't for that. Like we were like, all the markers aren't matching and we can't seem to connect the dots. And then your cousin spit in that cup. Turns out you're pretty Scandinavian. You are very Scandinavian. Pick you up off the floor. Oh, thanks. Had no idea. Carting you off. Who knows? Maybe 23andMe's data, your data, will end up in good hands. Yeah, if you feel that way, you should delete it off the website right now. We are so loose with our data.
Have y'all seen the Civil War taking place? All right. If you haven't heard, that's fine. That just means you live in a functional life because what I'm talking about happened on Twitter. Elon Musk came through and was like, hey, we actually really need in America H-1B visas. And these H-1B visas are how people from other countries come here and have pretty great jobs by some standards. These are like sometimes developing jobs, some of the engineering jobs, and like just stuff of that nature. This isn't like one of your regular visas, and it's not like a visa that we have with a specific country. Like there are E3 visas that we have with places like Australia because they're white, and that's like that. That's a thing that we have with lots of different countries. So there's a certain amount of visas that are agreements between the countries, and we don't have it with every single country in the world. But even with like Uganda, we might have a few that are these specific visas that Ugandans can get or something, as an example, right? But the H-1Bs have a lot to do with jobs because with your H-1B visa, if you lose your job, right, you have to leave. But Elon is like, these H-1Bs are actually great. And Vivek Ramaswamy is also like, these H-1Bs are fantastic, right? Now, the reason that billionaires like H-1B visas is because people who are very talented from other countries will come, and they're usually, not always, but a lot of times are sending money back to their home country for their family, right? And so they, due to the exchange rate, don't really have the same amount of demands as an American worker. Like an American worker $100,000, it means something different here than it means to someone coming here, right? $100,000, you might still be like, okay, I'll have a place to live, but I won't be able to do much. I can't take a vacation. If I get hurt, I'm immediately going to go into medical debt because I don't have insurance. Like $100,000 is a lot of money, but you're still thinking about how you're going to move through life as an American, right? But if you're coming from somewhere, especially if you're coming from somewhere where this is the biggest opportunity you've had up until this point, you're thinking $100,000. Okay, look, I can have roommates. I don't care about having roommates. I'll have as many roommates as it takes to keep as much of that $100,000 after taxes that I'm going to keep in my pocket, so that way I can send money home. And the money that I send home due to the exchange rate is fantastic, right? So now I can maybe even retire my parents off of this $100,000, $120,000 job back where I'm from. So when they come over here, they are working these like crazy hours. Like we're talking like 80-hour work weeks, fluctuations, and what the job description is and stuff like that. And they don't complain, because if they complain, they could be fired. And if they get fired, they're immediately deported. They start all over again, right? So that's why Elon and Vivek love H-1B visas. So MAGA as a movement is very upset with this sort of thing, because the whole idea of Trump winning and Elon and Vivek making that Department of Government Efficiency, which is only named that so that it will be called Doge, which is low-key one of the most unserious things I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, that was when I was like, oh yeah, we're cooked. That's very bad. That, y'all, if you had gone back 20 years and told somebody that eventually there would be someone, I mean, these are like made up jobs. Like Trump would actually have to do what they say to make them official. Right now, they don't even really exist in theory, right? It's just an idea of what might happen. I mean, who knows now? But like if you went back 20 years and you told someone eventually there would be a government body that only had its name so it could be the acronym CAKE. I'm sure that person 20 years ago would ask, when did all the smart people die? And so Vivek tweets and Elon tweets, and everyone, I don't know, is so mad. Okay, so basically, MAGA sees the H-1B visas as like taking American jobs, and not in a Mexican immigrant way. Not in the way of like, they're coming over here and they're selling fruit. I didn't really want to sell fruit anyway, but like they're selling the fruit. I don't know how I feel about that. It's not like that. It's like, no, LinkedIn is empty. And you're talking about H-1Bs coming over here and getting the jobs that I went to college for. And then Elon basically said, hey, y'all way too stupid to do these jobs, which is so out of pocket. That's so crazy. That, in a weird way, this whole ordeal almost made me feel kind of bad for MAGA as a movement, because when you think about it, a lot of why MAGA started is because, you know, whether you want to put them in quotations as elites or like coastal elites or just people with money, those people for a long time, and this is something that I don't like, that I've seen for a long time, because it's a city rule thing that we do to each other a lot, where there are a lot of city people that look down on like rural people in a rural lifestyle, because they're like, oh, you're not educated. But then the people in the rural areas look at city people and they're like, you actually can't keep yourself alive. Do you know what I mean? Like you like I know you've read more than me, but like, how do you, where does water come from? Tell me where water comes from. Oh, the bottle? Oh, okay. Oh, it comes from a bottle. That's cute. All right. You know, because don't get me wrong, as well-educated city people who I've been around, I've lived in lots of different places, and I travel around the country as often as I can. So I do my best to meet everyone so I can understand. I want to have as many pieces of the puzzle as I can to see where people are coming from, how we get places, right? And when I tell you that there are people who I know are very smart, very, very intelligent people, very smart people. But when you tell them that water comes from the ground, they look at you like, well, you must be drinking dirty water because not my Icelandic. No. Guys. Yeah. So Elon basically says y'all are like way too dumb to do these jobs. Like, I've seen your American schools. I've seen your colleges, and your colleges don't even match other countries' high schools. And the sort of general MAGA response to that was like, well, okay, but you agreed with us for the past like 4 or 5 years that the American college system was broken and that it's too woke and that we need to fix it and we need to change things up. And he was like, yeah, but you still dumb. Like that doesn't change. I don't think yeah, I don't like it either, but that doesn't make you smarter that you went to a dumb school. And so then they lose it. And then MAGA was like, oh, okay, I didn't know you felt that way, you South African. It's hard to find a whiter man than Elon Musk. Like no, I mean, like literally and figuratively in a sense, because he's very. Oof. You know what I mean? Like the sun, not a friend, right? But the way they were calling that dude African, just you ever? Because they're like African, but then I'm an African American, and that I've never had racism miss me like the Matrix. That like nearly broke my brain when they were like, you African, and I was reading it like, oh yeah, geez. Wow, okay. All right. Elon has the most money in the world, the richest man in the world, and this is how you know that the path to riches is a dead end. Because this man has always had money, and he has more money than anybody. And he plays with different people. Sometimes he's number 2 for like a day. Sometimes he's number 1 for a week. But he's richest man in the world, is safe to say, right? I'm sure somebody can pull me up 4 months from now and be like, actually, this other person. It's like, yeah, for 20 minutes, but like it's richest person in the world, and he's still deeply, deeply missing everything about what a joyous life is. He's the richest person in the world, right? But out of all of that money that he has, all of the money he has, and he has almost all the money that he has, right? He has a cartoonish amount of money, all the money that he has. He wants nothing more. I can tell you this right now, just from watching his moves, just from watching him talk, just from watching how he's interacted, even in this little spat that he's having. I'm not saying that this is the end of MAGA or something, or that the Republican Party's gonna fall apart. I'm saying that just this glimpse, this dude has all of the money in the world. He can have anything that he wants except acceptance except like actually being in a room and knowing that everyone wants him in that room. He cannot buy being cool. He cannot buy He cannot buy genuineness. There are always going to be people who love Elon or think Elon's dope because they think that he's a genius, because they think that he is going to help them become like him, or just because he has money. But then when you strip all of that away, I don't know Elon. And I don't necessarily care for much of what he does, but I know a person hurting when I see it. Do you know what I mean? I know like a hurt individual when I see it. And this dude has not stopped tweeting since they call him a South African. Like since it happened. They have been coming for this dude's neck nonstop. And it's like sometimes I don't know. Sometimes you see something, you're like, oh, that's a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell you how I feel about what's happening to Elon right now. And all right. This may just be me, but there's a video online of this guy. This is right when the Popeyes chicken sandwich dropped, okay? And if you remember that was a time to be alive. You would think that Popeyes didn't serve chicken. You would think that something revolutionary was happening because they took the chicken that they already sell and they put 2 buns on either side of that chicken. People ready to fight over this chicken sandwich, and they were running out, not of chicken, of the sandwich, which means they were only running out of bread. And people were losing their minds over it. They could not. What do you mean you want chicken sandwiches? I waited in this line for 5 hours to get this chicken sandwich just to bite a piece of chicken and with bread on either side of it. I've been waiting all day to have chicken sandwich. Meanwhile, Chick-fil-A was next door being like, y'all, we hear all the time. Like, it's like, nobody wants that right now. I want the Popeyes chicken sandwich. And so there's a video where this guy is, I believe he's in Georgia. He might be in Atlanta, which also makes this thing very poor judgment. But this dude is in Atlanta. So he's a white dude, right? And everyone else in the Popeyes is black. And I don't know how long he's been waiting. I don't know why he's so mad, but he's stomping around, right? And he's stomping around and getting in people's faces and stuff. He's like, "Where's my sandwich?" And then finally he goes up to somebody. He's like, "Get out of my way now!" And like it's just going back and forth, right? And then finally his sandwich is ready. He snatches the sandwich. He's like, "Give it to me!" And then he pushes somebody out of the way. And the person filming him is just like, "Oh no." Fast forward like 5 seconds, maybe 10. He's in the parking lot, sort of folded up. Because somebody beat his ass. Because, yeah. And not only are they beating his ass, but he's clearly folded up as sitting down now, and they've still put a hand on his shoulder just to create leverage, and are like uppercutting him a couple times, right? And so then after like the second or third uppercut, they walk off with his bag, and the person filming goes, "Oh, y'all ain't gotta take his sandwich though." Which is weirdly, I don't know, which is a very short, but a very poignant, like lesson about racism, or at least how people who experience racism treat the people who are racist towards them, right? Because even in this hateful thing, there's this line that's like, "Oh, okay, but that was enough." Do you know what I mean? And so when there are people who rarely or never experience racism, and it's a new feeling, it's a new type of anger, it's a new type of hurt, they're not gonna know what's enough because they're not practiced in what it feels like to find a level with it. Do you know what I mean? There are things that happen in the world, and they're sick and they're racist, and then it's not something that you can always change or resolve, but you have to move on with your life. You have to live, you know? So you can fight back as best as you can, and you can distance yourself as best you can, create safety as best you can, but that will be out there. So when when like someone who is not used to the practice of dealing with that thing feels it for the first time, nothing will ever be enough. And so because nothing is enough, they went after Elon in a way where I was like, oh, y'all ain't got to do all that. Because they hurt Elon feelings so bad that this dude went on a burner account on Twitter and join Space. If you don't know what Spaces are, it's where you can talk. It's literally just like this chat room, this like audio chat room where everybody can talk, or just the moderator can talk or whatever. And he went in this audio chat room with a voice modulator and started defending himself with the voice modulator, being like, actually, like Elon, like a good person and stuff, like. Y'all actually being hella out of pocket when it comes to Elon. That's not fair at all what y'all say. And you especially were very rude. And I would say it'd be helpful if y'all would like apologize to Elon, because I don't know him at all, but he seems like a reasonable dude. So if y'all like would chill out, I'm sure he would forgive you and stuff. Like he a cool guy. And I don't know what was said. I do not know what happened. But something was said that was so, I'm assuming, hateful or out of pocket or just wrong, that I don't know how this happened. All I know is Elon apparently, because this is all hearsay. I watched the thing and I'm 90% sure it's real, but like, apparently this dude got so mad he either got his mouth too far from the voice modulator or turned it off, because then this dude with his full Elon voice was like, wait, watch who you talking to right now. But like, he like fully dropped it. He was like, well, forget y'all too then. I hate everybody in here. Y'all can all go to hell. Because then Vivek also tweets one of the oddest. First of all, it's too long. This is another thing that happened, because as soon as they took that like 150 character sort of like thing off of Twitter, and it kind of killed the thread of Twitter, because the thread was how you knew you were telling a good story. Like the thread, I've read threads that were 220 parts. Because every part, there was no fat on that story. The whole thing is so insane. And every 140 characters keeps you hooked for the next 140 characters. I've read Twitter threads that should be movies, right? Because you had to use an economy of word. You had to actually be a writer to convey your ideas, and you did it in the long. I was scrolling for the entire afternoon. And even when I got to the end, I was like, damn. And now, you can just do the whole thing. So then Vivek does this whole thing, and he's like, basically, if America wants to win, and if Americans want to win, and by the way, when I say Americans for a little while here, when I say Americans, there's a subtext for everyone talking that they mean white Americans. Just so you know, because sometimes people say Americans, and then well-meaning people go, no, we're all, and I'm like, all right. So Vivek is like, if Americans want to win, then, it comes down to culture. And right now, your culture is trash. It's basically... It's basically a bunch of jocks looking at people who read like they're the dumb ones, even though the jocks are the dumb ones. And we're obsessed with like, I don't know, like pretty stuff, shiny stuff and everything. And if you pick up some books, and if you do a little less, I don't know, like Instagram, whatever you do, maybe you'll be worth hiring. That's at least how it sounded. And I was not that pressed about the whole Vivek thing. One, because I knew he wasn't talking to me. And two, because I've heard this sort of thing my entire life. No one is more used to this type of condescension than black people. You know what I mean? Because with black people, we're the ones where we're like, hey, I did all the stuff you said to do. I went to the right school, actually got a scholarship. I did the internship, and I am passionate about this field. Can I get a job? And they're like, ah. We already have a black. We already have a black. His name is Mike because he tricked us. We already have a... Look, we would hire you. We would hire you. But the boss's dumbest cousin needs a job. And so we're going to have to give it to him. But I don't know, keep applying. And then maybe if Mike dies, we'll need a black. So then you can do it. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just a general reality. And so to hear Vivek talk to white people like this was wild. That was so IPOC because then the comments were all like, but I did all the stuff, and he's like, yeah, no, I know. But you're dumb. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I would never hire you, you know? And he doesn't say that. He doesn't say that exactly, but that's what he implies throughout the whole thing. And then he stops responding because it's thousands of people. But I don't know. There were so many people that came out and they were like, look, what the whole reason that we joined this MAGA movement, the whole reason that we thought Trump being in office was a good thing is because it would mean more good jobs for Americans. And look, if you genuinely believed that, then I don't. Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not being a dick. I'm saying, like, if you genuinely believe that, then like, that's bad. You know how... This happened, this thing happened, and I really... I worry sometimes. I think about this a lot, and I think about this with every like topic that I talk about, or any joke I tell or story I decide to talk about. That like, I would like to believe that empathy, compassion, and kindness are the way forward and will get us somewhere. I don't know if that's true. I want that to be true. I think if you make your obsessions community, culture, connection, and compassion, then I think that there's a way forward. You know, I don't know if that is right. It might be incorrect. It's what I've chosen my best to do, and I'm human, so I'm probably gonna mess it up a lot. But one thing that happens in my mind, what I think of when I think of MAGA is a story from when I was just getting out of high school. It might have even been my first year of college. No. It was like my second year of college, right? And I was getting off a shift at this restaurant that I worked at, and my friends were picking me up. And when they picked me up, we would hang out on the weekend, you know, all the times that I was back at home, which is where the restaurant that I would work for extra money was. So I would leave college, I'd come back home, work a shift, and then spend the weekend with my friends. And that particular day when they picked me up, I knew I was spending the night at one of their houses. But when they picked me up, they're like, hey, I live in Alexandria at the time. They're like, hey, we're going to, I think we went to Opelousas or Leesville or something, which is like an hour and a half away or a couple hours away. And when I get in the car, they say this. And I'm like, why are we going to Leesville? And my buddy's like, it's a surprise, right? And so then we get all the way over there. Now, my second friend in the car is about to go away to seminary. So I went to a Catholic school for high school, and I actually like treasure it as an experience, not because of any sort of like religious teaching, but because it gave me a little bit more insight into how people think and how the people around me thought about me and about the world, right? But then there were some people that went to the school that were like, yeah, we'll do this forever. And he was one of them. He was like, I'll just be a priest, because that was his track, right? And so then we get to where we're going, and it's a strip club. And so my one buddy had decided that because our second friend was about to go be a priest, he should at least see titty, just to be sure. Just in case. That he should see what they, that they round and beautiful and so. And so then, we go inside, and I'm okay. I'm also like taking a back. Like my friend that's going to seminary is like, actually, I guess I'm going to hell, because he's looking around. He's like, right? I'm just generally slightly uncomfortable because I was like a late bloomer, sort of like accepting myself and like accepting my, I guess the way I come off to people and stuff. And so I'm still like this awkward, tight, as soon as I walk in, right? I'm nervous, and he's nervous for like different reasons. He's like, you know what I mean? And so then our buddy who took us, who was driving, buys my friend who's going to seminary lap dance. And so it's not just any lap dance, it's a lap dance in the private room. And so I was like, you gonna get that boy a heart attack, and then he gonna die, and then he gonna be there, and then be like, look, I did everything right, but I will say I did die at a strip club. That shouldn't even be on me, because I didn't know we were going there. But she started rubbing up on me, and it was too perfect. I thought it was one of your angels, all right? And so then I got excited, and then my left arm started to hurt a little bit, and now I'm here. But that shouldn't even be on me, okay? I didn't drive myself. I didn't do it. And so then, he goes private room, lap dance, and he comes out of the room, a new man. The dude comes out of the room. I don't know what happened in the room. I'm assuming dancing, but this dude walks out of the room like he had to do all the dancing. He walked out the room disheveled. And he goes up to our friend and he's like, do you have money for one more dance? My friend pays for another dance, and he goes back. And, while he's in the room, I had my own journey. Because I was at the strip club, and I was just sipping on a Sprite, because this is back when I still drank soda. I had to quit. It's too spicy. No, it generally burns my chest. Like it's too much, right? But back in the day, I would hit a Sprite, and so I was sipping all this Sprite, and this one dancer walks by, and she does this thing where she basically like massages the back of my neck as she's walking by. But I am not used to being in strip clubs. I'm also not used to people coming on to me, so I thought it was a spider. So I. And so I thought it was a spider, so I started swinging. And I didn't hit anything, but I still was like. And then later, another dancer came over, and she sat across from me. She was like, "Hey, how you doing?" I was like, "I'm good." She's like, "What's your name?" I was like, "I'm Josh." And she's like, "What brought you in today?" I was like, "Oh, my friend, he's gonna go to seminary." And so we brought him here to make sure. I don't really know what the plan is. And she's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that's a funny story. You're funny." And I was like, I didn't say anything funny. He's like, "Oh, well, you're kind of cute." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." So you want to buy me a drink? And I was like, "Oh, yeah, sure. Do you want a Sprite?" I'm drinking a Sprite. And then she smiled, very sweet smile, and then she got up and pushed her chair in and walked over to some of the other dancers. And she was, I don't know if she knew I could hear her. There was music playing, so I know she was yelling it to let them know, but I was still within earshot when she said, she gets up and she goes to the other lady. She's like, "Oh, y'all, don't worry. He's slow. Don't." And so then our friend who's going to seminary comes out after the second dance, and then whatever happened the first time happened worse the second time, because now he like walking out, but he's sort of holding his arm too, and he's like, oh. "Do you have money for one more dance?" Our buddy gives him money, and he goes in there, and I'm sitting with my buddy who brought him, and he's the only one out of all of us who's like chill in this situation. And like I don't know if he was like a cool guy anyway, but maybe he had just been to strip clubs before, but he was just not fazed. He was just like, "Oh, I'll get you a drink, yeah." And then our buddy comes out. Comes out of the private dance room, and honestly, nothing working. I was worried that he had lost his sight, because he walked out like, "Do you And our friend says, I'm sorry, man, but that's all the money that I had. It's probably best that we head home now anyway. And we get in the car, we're headed back. And it's not that long before. It's not like silent. We play a little music and stuff, but nobody's really talking. And then finally, our buddy that's going breaks the silence, and he's like, I don't know if I can go to seminary. In that moment, I had my own dilemma because I was like, does that shouldn't land on me though? Like I shouldn't. That shouldn't be any of my hell though, because we technically broke he was a pre-priest, but like there's gonna not be a priest now because of what happened tonight. But that's not on me because I didn't drive us here. And I didn't have a ride, so then and Uber wasn't a thing yet, so I couldn't have gone, and it would have been too expensive anyway, so I was just along for the ride, and now I'm in here, and then he talking about he not gonna... And then he's like, yeah, I don't know, I'm gonna have to think about it because, I think Cherry loves me. And I think I love her too. And so when I think about MAGA, it feels like they love this dude, and he thinks, oh, I have their love, I'm good. And they think we love him and he loves us. But he's just up there dancing. And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. He is good at dancing. He is. Like when you watch him dance, you're like, that was at least funny, or it was like, oh, it's so weird. But no matter what, no matter how he dances, everybody talks about it. You know? And I think that with Vivek and with Elon, you know, they're real businessmen. And so they think about their business and how to improve it, how to make more money, how to make sure that they have people that aren't going to unionize, aren't going to stir up trouble or anything. And MAGA is genuinely in this place. You don't get to MAGA in a vacuum, you know? Yeah, I mean, I think there's a general social contract and understanding of what America is supposed to be for Americans, and the differences that we have, the way that we butt heads is the interpretation of that contract, right? For some people, that contract is just the Constitution, and they actually like live by it. They're actually like, no, it says this, so we should do this, right? And that's one way to take it. That's fine. And then there are people like me. There are people that at any point in American history have been deemed different or other, that see the contract as something that you might get by happenstance of having money, but is not going to be given to you outright. And then there are there are white Americans who believe in the contract, and they believe a part of the promise that's like unspoken, which is all of this, you'll have access to all of it. All of this is yours by virtue of you following the rules and doing what you're supposed to do because this is your country. And so when Elon and Vivek, who are not the right white, do you know what I mean? Because when Elon crossed MAGA, he became a South African real quick. Like it was. And Vivek, I don't know, y'all, bro, you were never in. Like you were never. But when they made these points, and when they gave a lot of that movement what is genuinely some of the hard truth, it's like, all right, if you think college is broken and woke and whatever, if that really is your opinion that you hold, then you do your best to change the thing. You don't throw the thing out. You don't go, guys, I don't like gender studies, so now math is also gay. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't like gender studies, then don't major in gender studies. Like that's a quick and easy path to not have to deal with gender studies. This should just be like, I will just do the And so I don't know how the war is going to end. You know what I mean? I don't, because it's weird. I thought this would take at least until February. Y'all been phenomenal. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great night. I appreciate you.
Give it up for Josh Johnson.
Man, okay. I've been excited to come to Rochester, and I have been also nervous. You know what I mean? I cannot tell if y'all have a mountain lion or not. Like, listen, I can only go off of what I've been watching. And what I've been watching, I'll just walk you through it. What I saw was a news report. This news report was of someone's Ring camera. I like that the whole community is involved in the surveillance. I like that this wasn't CCTV footage. This was, a person's Ring camera. And in the Ring camera, there is what might be, probably is, definitely looked like a mountain lion going for a late night stroll. Fantastic. The mountain lions have heard that Rochester is a place worth parking. And so the mountain lions have shown up, and one particular mountain lion was letting himself be seen. That ended up on the news where I saw it. And I was like, that does look like a mountain lion. But then the internet being the internet, there were plenty of people that were like, mountain lion. That's a cougar. Nothing makes me want to get into it with people than actually, that's so beside the point. A very big cat is walking around Rochester. Cougar, mountain lion, help me with the major difference. And then initially, when the report came out, there was a shelter-in-place order, right? And I heard about the shelter-in-place order, and I was like, order? Who was fighting to get outside knowing there was a mountain lion out there? Who was like, y'all know I always wanted to pet one. this is so unfair. Every time something fun happens, I gotta stay inside. Shelter in place order is crazy. I saw people commenting online off the video, and I saw some people that were like, "Oh." Please tell me you understand that if that awe is taken to a mountain lion, that will be the last noise you make. Oh, so sweet. Licking it. Let's go say hi. Oh. Oh. Wow, okay. And then from there, people contacted the zoo, and to y'all's credit, y'all's zoo was like, hey, nah. Everybody here's supposed to be here. Okay? We not just loose with the gates like some other zoos have been. We got all our cougars, we got all our mountain lions, every cat is here. And like the fact that this thing was just strolling as well. It's not like running around. Everyone that says they've seen it, it's like quickly become this like urban legend / mascot of Rochester. Because then the people that have seen it, and look, I'm not saying that if you've seen it, you were supposed to tackle it and take a selfie with it. I believe the people that say they saw it. I believe one person in particular that says that he saw it. I believe the man that your news interviewed that said that he saw it. This man should just be an anchor. The man is all the news, and they turn and he went rawr. And I was like, go on. So far, this is very believable. He's like, it went raw, and I was like, ooh, I'm good. No, none of that. No. I like how that's how you get away from wild animals. It's like, because admittedly, look, I'll tell you, as a black person, that's exactly what's happening. If you see a wild animal out in the not wild, you start conversing with it like somebody you owe a lot of money. Hey, look, no, hey, listen, no, look, no, please, no, no, bruh, no, thank you, no, please. Look, later maybe, but no, not today. Oh, Lord help me, oh. This man gives this interview, he says he saw a row, and then he was like, no, I'm not messing with you, no, thank you, no, I'm out of here, no, I don't mess with lions, tigers, bears, good policy. These are good things to keep in mind. I don't mess with any of them. And then my favorite thing about the interview wasn't that he was like, it could be anywhere. It could be in those bushes, as this man looked up. This is why this dude is like low-key one of my favorite people of all time, because I know exactly everything that's going through his thought process while he's talking to the news, and I also could put myself in this situation when he saw the mountain lion. No, it could be in one of these bushes, anywhere. He stopped just short of what I probably would have said, which is like, it could be anywhere. Anywhere, these bushes up here. It could be in the house. It could be you. We don't know each other. Like, how we know he didn't stand up, tuck the tail, and was like, reporting live? Matter of fact, roll up your sleeves. Let me see how furry you are. No, my favorite thing about this interview was that this man gave the interview in broad daylight, explaining what he saw while holding a bat. It's like, that's why I keep it with me right now. That's why I got it on me. And I'm like, yes, but no. No, that's why sometimes I don't like the movies that Hollywood makes, that, you know, they put scenes out there that wouldn't go the way that we've imagined. You know, you put Idris Elba in one movie with a line, and now people think they could fend off a mountain lion with, like, not a thick bat. Like, that bat looked like Pee-wee grade. That was not a slugger, you know? He was like, no, but come near me if it comes anything. No. And then y'all did not help the situation. Because then you started posting AI of y'all with the mountain lion. This woman said she heard a row and she looked and he was in the bakery, and I'm like, I'm believing it until I see the picture. I'm over here being like, man, this woman chill. This woman a straight gangster. She's not just a baker. It was in her store. And they showed the picture. I was like, y'all gotta stop playing. This is supposed to be the news. I was sitting there getting mad. I was like, all right, some of these clearly look fake, but a couple of them don't. Look, you can either post an AI image or you can interview the person. Don't do both. That's disrespectful to my man who's probably still carrying a bat right now. You're all over here scared him, making him think the mountain lion everywhere. No, look, don't approach a mountain lion. If you see a mountain lion, there's a whole number you're supposed to call, so some like actual professionals come deal with the mountain lion. That was another little gripe that I had, that I will admit. I was like, because I was in my head, I'm like, I'm coming to Rochester. What if I see his mountain lion? I should probably memorize this number. And instead of being in any way catchy, in any way memorable, this number isn't 1-800-sighting. That would be too many numbers, I understand. But like, this number is just 1-375-2280. Like, it was just such a regular number. I was like, no one will remember that. You couldn't even make a number. You couldn't even make it like 1-800-GET-CATS. Not even try. Now I'm over here, I see the mountain lion, I don't have a bat on me, anything. I'm doing the regular thing, the thing that we know to do. No, I'm not messing with you. I'm not playing with you. Get away from me. Oh no, oh geez, right? And now I'm trying to call the number and I'm like, 1. Now I'm over here, somebody knows the number. That's insane. That's too earnest. Don't. That's we. Imagine though, because this is my thing. This is just my thinking. If I saw the mountain lion, right, and it was over here, not just minding its like ring camera business, not just going about his day. Maybe I saw the mountain lion. The mountain was like, "Hey, city ain't big enough for the both of us." I'm not gonna lie, just for the sake of brevity, I would probably call 911. But the idea that there's a whole extra set of numbers to call if you see the mountain lion makes me wonder that, like, if you call 911, they'll be like, a mountain lion? You called the wrong 911. Look, I'll give you the number, call, write it down. You can't transfer me? No, we 3 numbers, they're 10 numbers. You just can't can't transfer like that. It doesn't work like that. Yeah, I'm just praying I have a good time in Rochester. I don't see a mountain lion in the very high bushes y'all have. Y'all have been busy since I've been gone. Y'all have had a string, multiple robberies. See, I haven't even specified yet, and y'all have had a string of robberies of the mail. I was reading about it. Mail carriers are getting robbed, and that's just. I like an unboxing as much as the next person, but like that's truly it's mail. It's more likely you stealing bills. Imagine. Oh, would have been great if somebody had robbed my house when I only had bills in it, you know? I can't even imagine what that would be like for the mail carrier, because it'd be different if you're like a Brinks truck. It'd be different if you went to wherever, because they go everywhere, and they do these shipments from different places and stuff. It would be different if you went to, like, you know, some grocery store. They had to do their deposit. You show up with the truck. They always have like 2 of them there. And I used to think that was for security, but the worse the economy gets, I'm like, nah, that's so somebody doesn't quit on the job. That's so somebody doesn't just drive off with the truck. There's at least one other person there to keep you accountable. But they'll have the person who's like loading up the truck or loading something in from the place that they're picking up from, and then they'll have one person just sort of standing there looking at everybody. I used to work at a grocery store. This exact thing would happen. Like, they would come with the truck, and there would be somebody that looked at everybody like a suspect. You would have grapes in hand, and he'd be like, what's up, though? Like, you trying to... It's like, oh, I'm trying to, check out, get rung up. It's like, okay, all right. Likely story, but okay. And then, they go off, they deliver it to the bank or whatever. I can only imagine if you work at the mail. And somebody roll up on you. Maybe they have a gun, maybe they don't. And they're like, hey, come up out of everything. I don't even think you'd be trying to be brave. I think out of genuine confusion, you'd be like, the mail? Yeah, everything you got. It's like, I can tell you right now, because of the route that I'm on, none of these about to be checks. Do you know what I mean? Because it's not even like they're robbing the mail carrier of like the best neighborhood. You're just robbing the mail in hopes. It would be different if this was like the 1800s. It would, because back in the day when they robbed trains, those trains did bring like mail with them. And a lot of that mail was like, from bank to bank, or somebody sending something to someone that was precious. You had these great train robberies and everything. Now, you'd be sorely disappointed if you were to hop on an Amtrak. You're like, okay, everybody, this is a robbery. It's like, all right, first of all, let me tell you right now, every single car in that Amtrak, bathroom destroyed. So already, you get on the Amtrak, you'll be like, all right, everybody, this is a... Oh, one of y'all sick? What? Because people used to carry their belongings on them, and now it's just one belonging. Like, now it is, the phone's more important than the wallet. For some people, the phone is the wallet. That's why when some people forget their phone, I'm like, y'all didn't take life seriously at all today. Do you know what I mean? Like it's one thing if I forget my ID, or if I forget one of my like cards, or if I forget my keys or my AirPods, like you do the little check before you go, make a song out of it, right? It's very different if you decided, hey, I'm gonna put everything in the phone. That way it's all in one place. Some people even put the card in the little pouch behind their phone. I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, this is a horrible idea. Just attaching the wallet to the phone. And they're like, no, now everything's in one place. I'm like, yeah, you made it easy for the mugger. That's all you did. You still gonna be forgetful. I don't know why we think that like changing that thing will like change us. Do you know what I mean? My friend is very forgetful. But then he's like, no, if I just put it all in one thing, I'll be fine. I'm like, no, you'll forget more at once. Your day will be worse. Because then I already saw this, right? You saw that they put the phone into the back of the case, into the wallet, right? All one thing. Then they were like, why even use a case? Let's just mush the credit cards into the phone, let everybody pay with their phone. So now, a lot of my friends don't even carry credit cards. It's just the phone. So now when you forget your phone, I'm like, who are you? The phone was your ID, it was your credit card, it was your phone. This is what's crazy about losing a phone now, not just on top of not just on top of like how much we keep in it, but my friend locked himself out of his house because he had put his keys in his phone. Because you know they have that thing now where certain scan you can scan and then just boom, click, and then the door opens. He did that because he was like, why keys? Keys are so archaic. And then pitched it to me like this. Why am I just walking around all day jingling? What am I, the crypt keeper? Why am I running around here clink, cling, 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 cling? No. That is entertainment for babies, all right? Only thing that keys are good for, put the keys into the phone. And then with the credit card, he was like, why am I just carrying around plastic all the time? All the time. Then the card expired. You don't even know the card was about to expire. So then you over here trying to pay for your groceries looking dumb. Looking over here. No, I swear, there's money in the account. I don't know why this is happening. You got the Brinks guy staring at you like, all right, you said it was all about grapes, but it looked like it's not all about grapes. So what's really hood? Now I put the card in my phone. I put the keys in my phone. I got everything all the time. And I'm like, all right, but what happens when you don't have the phone? Because you're telling me all this as like the reason to put everything inside of one thing. But now you're locked out. You're locked out of your apartment and you're sitting in my apartment. Somebody who uses a key to get in. I don't know. I feel bad for you. You gotta use this archaic technology. You gotta turn it with your wrist like you're from 2000 BC. And then that's the other thing that was crazy. It's like all these things that were for ease, he ended up being so much worse off because I told him, I was like, you didn't even have your phone on you to call me. You had to find me. Do you realize how much crazier that is? If you had kept it all separate, if you had diversified your belongings, and then realized, ooh, I forgot my phone. Let me use my key to walk back into my apartment and maybe send an email to a friend or let someone know I'm gonna be late, right? Or if I, forgot my key, I now have a card and a phone to either call someone else who has the key or just go to, where we keep our spare key. You can go where you keep your spare key. Because you keep a spare key, right? You keep one physical copy, right? You keep one physical key, and then you keep your phone key, because one of those keys isn't dumb. And he was like, why would I have a backup regular key? Just so somebody can find that key, break into my place, and steal all my belongings. I'm like, it sounds like you have one belonging. It sounds like... I'm waiting for when they do that. I'm waiting for when Apple is like, no, put the couch in the phone. Just trying to get you to sit on your phone to be comfortable. And then when your phone cracks, it's like, oops, maybe that was a bad idea, but you will need a new phone. You know, we're doing all this stuff and it's just doing too much. Doing too much and doing too much. And then you get to the place where you don't even know why you're doing what you're doing. You get to the place where you're robbing the mail. Truly for what? At best, it might be like a blender. If you are robbing the mail and it is not an Amazon package, you're already losing. Because when I tell you right now, this mail that you're stealing, this like paper that you're stealing, is paper that the people it's going to don't want. Forget bills. This is like begging people to open up a new credit card. It's begging people to subscribe to a magazine they subscribed to one time. It's just asking for money. And then you do that, and then you open all that mail in your place, which is also against the law. You doubling up on felonies. What's the plan here? Because now you've opened the check. Let's say you got a check. Let's say somebody still works in 1990. And let's say that you got the check. What is the plan now? To go to the bank and be like, hey, I'm 8 people. But who knows? Maybe the banks in Rochester just cash whatever y'all bring. I have no idea. Maybe this makes sense. I know it's been spoken on already, but I am genuinely, I've been looking it up. I've been educating myself, and I'm fascinated at the origin of the garbage plate. Because here's the thing. I'm not here to talk about if it's good or not, or the aesthetic or anything like that. I'll get to the aesthetic, but like the name. I don't know. This is what I think happened. This is okay. Look, I'm pitching you what I think happened because we didn't have to get here. Anything that is good does not also have to have like a derogatory name, right? But I think that like something happened. Something happened where like I live in New York City. I live in Brooklyn, and New York City is very dirty. There's a lot of garbage out. No alleys, just street. I remember the first time when I moved to New York, because I moved to New York with very little frame of reference of what New York would be like. And so I moved to New York and I saw the trash on the street and I was like, oh, okay, I didn't know we were in a state of emergency. I had no idea. I picked the wrong time to move because the garbage, and piled up too, almost organized in its chaos, piled up about waist high at the sidewalk, you know? And then I realized that's what you do there. You put the garbage on the street. Like for a day, well, not a day, for like 3 days out of the week, we are the garbage. And somehow nobody has seen fit to just make an alley. Isn't this one of the oldest cities in America? At any point in time, somebody could have been like, look, we're gonna have to like eminent domain this one brownstone so that everybody doesn't have to live like the apocalypse happened 5 months ago. It will be a beautiful day in New York City. You'll be walking happy. And then you will, as an adult, I thought I smelled all the smells. As a grown person, I was positive I'd even smelled all the mixes. And sometimes you'll be walking in New York City, and it will be a beautiful day. It'll be a picturesque day. It'll be one of those days that they direct movies with the scene that you're seeing. It's almost like God cinematography. When you look around New York City, the sun is coming up. There's that golden hour, everything's shining off, the building's just perfect. Maybe you walking and you walking with somebody you love, you holding hands and everything, and then you even go to say, I love you, right? You go to express, because you get swept up in this moment, this beautiful, beautiful moment that somehow you can only experience in New York City. Plenty of places are beautiful, but this moment can only happen in New York City, and you go to say, I love you, but that means you open your mouth. And so now this person whose eyes you were looking deep into, you go, You can't even describe it. You can't even describe. The only thing that even comes close to it is if you like ran onto like an Amtrak train with the bathroom door open. You've never felt or smelled anything like that. You felt like you were walking through a cloud when it happened. And now you're doubled over. That moment has happened in New York City for as long as New York City has been around, since its founding, since they were like, no, just mush them together. Nah, everybody want to live here, mush them together. No, and on top too, let's build up. No, it means more trash, but it means more people to, pay more taxes for us to still not have figured this out. Look, it's a phenomenal idea. There's no way, no, you can't cut through these buildings. You can't tear something down. No, that'd be crazy. This thing is worth $2 million. This piece of property that nobody wants, that no one will ever want, is also worth $2 million. No, we can't make it an alley. That would be useful. And so, I think maybe somebody saw that entire situation. And they were in Rochester and they were eating at one of their favorite places, and they were like, that looks exactly like what's in front of me right now. I've seen it, and I feel like there were other names. Because there were other words available. You know what I mean? This is how I'll put it. It would be like if I baked a cake, right? If I baked a cake and it was a triple chocolate cake, right? So, and not just triple chocolate in the way that it's like chocolate layer, chocolate layer, chocolate layer. Let's say I really took my time. I really did something like decadent. I really made like one layer almost like chocolate chip cookie. It's a little bit more brownie than it is like cake. And then the layer above that, I went a little bit like dark chocolate with it, right? And it had a little bit of filling in the sides of it that was also like something you don't usually get in a chocolate cake. And then the top of the chocolate cake, very light. Very like not the like fondant type stuff, like very light icing and a very like moist top, melts in your mouth, right? And then you had this chocolate cake, and it was actually, let's just say for the sake of argument, the best chocolate cake you've ever had in your life. Incredible. Like you were moved by how good this chocolate cake is, because you never had chocolate cake like it. This might make you act different, move different throughout your life. You never had chocolate cake like this before. Never has somebody put chocolate cake on a dish and then you put fork to cake and then fork to mouth and cake to mouth and then felt this good about your life and yourself, right? It's never happened before. And so then you ask because now there's a different person. You're a different person when you had the cake, before you had the cake, and after you had the cake, right? You're about to move through the world with more love, knowing that there's cakes like this to be had. You're about to spread the good word of this cake, because more people should have this cake. More people should feel this happiness, right? And you take a break from chewing, from everything, to ask me, what kind of cake is this? And instead of saying triple chocolate cake, instead of listing the ingredients, you ask me what type of cake it is, and I say, Dookie. I called it Dookie because, no, because when you look at the plate, you know what I mean? No, it looked like Dookie, so I called it Dookie. That makes it more enticing, doesn't it? Have another slice of Dookie. That's when I garbage plates. They may have found signs of ancient life on Mars. And I don't know how that helps us. That's y'all did it. You know what I mean? Ancient life on Mars. Not current life. To my understanding, they have found signs that somebody used to be there. Okay. All right. Imagine somebody coming to you and being like, this place used to be cool. Because I've thought about that. I've thought about how, what if, let's just say, for the sake of argument, what if there was like ancient life on Mars? And like ancient beings, we're not talking about like little microbes or anything like that, like intelligent beings. Like obviously we would call them aliens and everything because they're over there, we're over here. But like they lived on Mars. And then even though they're intelligent beings, they didn't always act in a way that was intelligent. You know what I mean? They didn't take care of themselves, each other, or their planet. And maybe they built out systems that didn't actually benefit all of them, just a few. And then it got to a point where they were not just unhappy with each other, they were unhappy with their planet, a planet that they had basically ruined. It used to be dope, and now it's whatever it is now. And so then they worried that there was no way to reverse course. There was still time, but they were like, what are you gonna do? And so then over time, remember, this is ancient. Remember how long the universe has been around. They looked around and they were, in some ways, very intelligent. Maybe intelligent enough to find another place to live. And maybe they find a place, and maybe it's called Earth. And maybe they went to Earth and they, been on Earth for so long, they forgot where they came from, but being intelligent beings, they made all the same mistakes all over again. And so then there comes this day where they look around and not really happy with themselves or each other. or they're planning, and rather than hopefully not wrecking it or themselves, they're like, what if we went to Mars? Maybe there's something there. Because I do think that, I don't know, I feel like that's as likely as finding life on Mars. Because that is where we're at for the most part. There's a lack of belief in the idea that you can still build community, or the idea that people can still see each other as people. That's incredibly like troubling and scary. I think that we rely now on communication that is more served to us than we seek out. We feel like we seek it out because we're discovering it in real time. In real time, you are discovering your For You page. In real time, you are discovering when you're scrolling and you feel like because you're making the choice to scroll that it's the choice what you see next, but it really isn't. And based on a bunch of things about you, we think we're shaping the algorithm, and it's a high likelihood it's the other way around. Because based on how you've built your habits gets based on whether you get served contempt or compassion. And so then when it's time for us to talk, we have a very different view of how people are in the world. Like all of social, all of this stuff, every platform, it's just a mirage. But when you're out in the desert by yourself, which it feels like a lot of people feel that way. A ton of people feel like they're out by themselves, right? And you see this thing up ahead and you think you know what it is, and it turns out to be a mirage. It's very hard to convince anyone of that idea. And so that's what I watch more of than anything else. It's just the idea that like, I know what's going on. I know what people are saying. I know how people think. And I've got a big picture of everything that's going on. It's like, I promise you have a snapshot. No person, no single person online is one thing. No idea is one shared belief by everyone. And once again, no matter what you do, even when you think you're gaming the system, even when you're like, but I log out sometimes. I guarantee you, you're being served a certain amount of contempt and a certain amount of compassion, and it's all driven to keep driving you. You want to know what people think, you want to know how people are, you just talk to people. This is the only way to find out. If you want community, you build it as best as possible. And you build it in any way that you can. Some of that will include being online. Some of that, I'm not talking about like talking to your friend in a DM. I'm talking about like the way we see each other is so important. And the way we see each other is being like molded and affected without people understanding that they didn't actually get to participate in some of this. You don't know what impact you have to anyone that's like outside of your sphere. It's why I do my best. I'm not perfect, but why I do my best to be, hopefully, the best version of myself all the time. Because people are only going to see a sliver. So if what they see is good, maybe they'll think the world's a little bit better. And if they see bad, they might think the world's a little worse. And it goes moment to moment. And no matter how much you try to put out, you can still get drowned out. But I know that when I see people, when I see anger, when I see hate, when I see love, when I see compassion, I know that I'm seeing all of it at one time. And then the real mix of it that's out there is different than what's in my phone. The same way you shouldn't put your keys and your wallet and your... Do you know what I mean? The same way that if you put everything in the phone and then you lose sight of what you're up to, you're lost. It's the same way that you cannot just trust that what you're seeing and what people are saying, and these people as well, these people, whoever these people are. Because that's the other thing about opinions online. It's the other thing about people online. We didn't vote for like a king or queen of online. Somehow any person saying anything is representative of everybody at any given point. That's not possible. I wish it was what was happening when it was like a smart person. But like, who knows? Like, smart people usually don't keep you online because they're like, hey, you should live your life. It's very bad for business. When people live their lives and when they meet people and when they talk to people and they have real conversations with people, when they really sit down with people and they get to know people, that's scary. It's scary for everybody who benefits from what you're like when you're just on your phone. You need to be very, very careful of how we look at other people, how we judge other people, because I'm telling you right now, this thing will run away from you. You will leave the house thinking the entire world is the devil without ever having checked with any other person. Do you know what I mean? I've gone outside and I've talked to people, and there are people, I'll tell you right now, there are people that scare me. There are people that scare me. There are people that walk around on trash day in New York and yawn. That's insane. It does. I don't know if it gets crazier. That's terrifying. And I'm talking like hot summer trash day. Not today, Satan. No, I see that, and I'm not gonna lie, I cross the street. I treat them like they got a pit bull. I treat them like, you know? Well, yeah. Like I don't know. And sometimes you want to throw your hands up and just say, none of it's worth it or anything. And I don't know. I just don't believe that. There are some things that happening and your response, what you put out into the world, it is coming back. It may not feel that way. And maybe you're a kid and you're impulsive and somebody makes you angry online, so you get real nasty with everybody all day, and you don't even think about like the ripple effect that thing has. But like, people take online, obviously is not real, but people take real things off of it, you know? And I've talked about this before. I'm never stop talking about it because I genuinely believe it from the bottom of my heart that the bravest thing you ever do. I remember I read this and it stuck with me, and I hope it sticks with me for the entirety of my life, because this is how people make money. This is how people control you. This is how people mess with your mind. This is how people turn you against other people. The bravest thing that you will ever do in your entire life is accept that there's nothing wrong with you. Nothing intrinsically wrong with you. There's nothing that is like that needs to be bought to fix you. There's nothing that you need to, and that is not to say that everyone is a perfect person. I'm not saying people don't need to work on themselves. I'm saying that like you are not beyond the measure of like the love and care that a person should receive, right? And then the second scariest thing you'll ever do in your life, and like some people can't do it. Some people live and die. They get buried without ever doing it. The other scariest thing you'll ever do in your entire life, I promise you, is change your mind. And like, I personally don't think we're in a place where we're too far gone. These two things can still happen. It takes a second for them to happen. It takes a moment for either one of them to happen. That there is nothing wrong with you. Now, you're not perfect.
You make mistakes. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing unfixable, unlovable about you. And then there's a world that looks different than the world in your phone or even the world from your experiences. But I promise you, changing your mind will not kill you. But this isn't the world. It's not even your world. It's just what you're being served to keep you on the platform. But I think somewhere along the line, we start to feel like it's a window instead of a TV. Do you know what I mean? It's not a window. There's no way to know what everybody thinks. And there is no like side to reality. So when you're watching something and when you're watching people react to something, you're seeing a piece of it, but you have to remember what you're being served. Like that's what's happening. Different amounts, compassion, contempt, depends on how you look, depends on where you go. It's worth seeing the full picture for yourself. I think to fail to do that is to start to fail to be as human as you can be. You know, this thing that we have is this incredible tool, but like tools are also weapons. A tool can protect you, and you can use it to hurt other people. Like if you thought a mountain lion was like walking around all the time and you just had a bat with you just in case, it's like not. But these things are tools, and it's very important to remember who's using the tool. We think it's us all the time, and I think that is a mistake. To think that we use it, that it doesn't work the other way around ever. I love you all, and I appreciate every single one of you. I don't want to see. I don't want to see people destroy themselves because they thought that they had a mirror, they thought that they had a window, and they just had a TV. You know? So I appreciate every single one of y'all. I can't even describe it. I was so excited to come here and spend time with you, and that is definitely in spite of the mountain lion. So. Rochester, y'all been amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all so much.
Okay. I know I'm getting older now because I've realized that a lot of people that I knew when I was young have passed away because of basic math. Do you know what I mean? Like, there'll just be someone that you're thinking about where you're like, oh man, they were old when I was a kid and I pay bills now, so. Oh yeah, oof. I went to a Catholic school in high school, and there was a priest there that I thought was hilarious. I don't even remember his name. I feel bad about it, but you know, he was dope, and he would do mass because we would have mass before classes and stuff. And he would always forget to turn his mic off. Consistently. I don't even think he knew it had an off button. He would always forget to turn his mic off, and then he would take the sacrament, right? Which is a cracker. And then every time he did it with next to his mic, it sounded like he was losing a tooth every week. It was never not hilarious. I remember the first time it happened, I was like, did he crack his soul? Like what? And you know, I'm not Catholic, but I would sometimes, when we would have a retreat or something, I would go to the confession just to like do it. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a certain power in going to confession when you're not Catholic, because you're going to tell someone a bunch of stuff they can't tell anybody else. And then they're going to tell you what to do about it, and you're just going to nod. Like, so I went to confession, and it wasn't as much of a confession because I think he knew I wasn't Catholic, so it was more of a conversation, right? And in the conversation, he said something that stuck with me ever since, where he was like, I don't know. This is him. I don't know if there's a God. But I've read the Bible, and I feel like, God or not, that this is the best way to live my life. I feel like I'm happier, I'm kinder to people. I feel better with this thing than without it. So that's just me, right? And I never heard someone, especially someone like in a church, like of the church, speak so candidly about their beliefs, right? I'd ask people my entire life straight up, hard questions. And sometimes they'd be like, well, God has a plan. But when somebody hits you with, I don't know either, it really stops both of you. I remember the moment he said it, I was like, oh, I hope I didn't break. I hope I didn't break a priest. You gotta go to hell if you break a priest. But he was like, no, I don't know. But I think that even if nothing happens when you die, even if there's no God, by the time I'm gone, I'll be pretty happy about the way that I lived my life. And I thought about that the other day. And I was like, ooh, I was 14. And he was like 84, so... I definitely missed a funeral. Okay. I don't drive because I'm a terrible driver. Like, I failed my driving test, and I'm out of practice since then. And so I don't drive, but I get driven. I take Ubers and stuff like that. Friends have given me rides and stuff. So I understand the value of gas money. And, it always felt like some classic 90s late night joke to talk about gas prices and if they were high or they're getting so high or whatever. And at least right now, gas, at least in most states, is on the lower side. It's cheaper. It's trending down, actually. It's cheaper than it was last week at the time that I'm saying this, right? Don't quote me years from now. Mr. Moneybags thinks that gas is cheap. It's like, no. I'm saying that as of September 4th, 2024, gas is trending down. It's cheaper than it was last week. It's cheaper than it was a month ago. And it's down from a year ago, right? And I think that because of that, gas stations are maybe hurting a little bit, and they're starting to sell extra stuff that is a bad business model, right? Like extra stuff that shouldn't even be at the gas station. Like I saw gas station flowers. Fellas, if you ever mess up and you're thinking about what you did and you're on your way home and you're feeling apologetic, but you don't want, you messed up too bad to just text. You can't just be like, I'm sorry, LOL. It's not gonna work. You're like, I gotta make this right? And so you're getting your apology ready in your head, and then, you see that the tank's pretty close to E. You're like, let me be responsible, fill up the family car, right? And then you get to the gas station, you fill up the car, and then you see inside that there are flowers, real flowers, at the gas station. If you walk in and you buy those flowers and you bring them home, she will leave you, all right? Gas station flowers look like an omen. Like, they're just dead enough to be alive. I've never seen anything like it. Like, and for sale of regular price flowers too. There was a bouquet that was in a bucket with a bunch of other bouquets, and I looked and the sign said $9.99 for these very dead. There's no vegetation around. These flowers were clearly shipped in like the back of a fridge or something. Flowers are big. Salads. I'm all for people eating their greens. And I think we should be healthier as a country. But if you buy a gas station salad, you have just used your credit or debit card to pay for E. coli, right? E. coli is supposed to be microscopic, but you can see it on a gas station salad. You can see it tap dancing in there. You can see it waiting to get inside you, excited. Eat me, please. I was at a gas station in Kentucky and saw, for sale apparently, a loose pickle. When I say a loose pickle, I want you to understand I said it right. I was at a gas station. My friend was getting gas. I was going to buy a bottle of water. And as I'm walking towards the fridge with the waters in it, I pass a shelf. The shelf has pickles laid out on the shelf and a price tag right under it. $1.99 for these loose pickles. $1.99 for these loose pickles. They're just on a very dusty shelf. And they were wet. Like, they had pickle juice on them. And it was a mystery I needed to solve because in my head, I was like, what could have happened here? Because this was like a mom and pop gas station. It wasn't like a Circle K or, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like anything like that. It wasn't a Shell or anything. It was just like a regular independent gas station. There's very few now, and I guess I can see why. But this loose pickle is just on the shelf with some other loose pickles, like, but it's wet. And in my head, I was like, this is like either a miracle or the worst business idea I've ever seen in my entire life. Can you imagine someone pitching, look, pickles taste like pickle, all right? Just throw them out there. Don't put them in a jar. Don't let them soak in pickle juice. They're going to taste like pickle no matter what you do, all right? Sure, there's a little dust. That dust is character, okay? But truly what I think happened, because this is like an indie, mom and pop gas station, I think somebody went in there. And don't get me wrong, a person who's out of their mind, they went in there and they were like, hey, let me get the whole jar of pickles, but no pickles. I just want the juice and the jar. And then this mom and pop gas station owner said, rightfully so, excuse me? Sir, I want the jar and the juice, hold the pickles, and I'll pay whatever price you want. And so then this very old man was like, okay. Because what do you charge for that? If somebody says, name your price, I would charge like $300. $300 would make me feel comfortable about making a sale to a serial killer, right? I wouldn't even say three, maybe 500. I think 500 would make me more comfortable about what I had to do while somebody watched. You know what I mean? No, 5,000. $5,000 would be my price because I would want them to have to pay so much that they couldn't get far, and when I called the police, they wouldn't be. They'd just be one tank of gas away. Loose pickles. And I asked them, I was like, so your pickles over there, what's the deal with that? Because they're just loose on the shelf. And the guy goes, what? I was like, your pickles are loose on the shelf. Because now I'm getting nervous. So your pickles are loose on the shelf. And he's like, what? And he's like cursing under his breath. And then he goes over there to the aisle where I pointed. And he's like, not again. Again. And he's like, not again. I was like, wait, so this happened before? Like, you didn't want this to happen? Like, a weird stranger didn't come in here and pay you $5,000 for just the jar and the juice? And this dude explained to me while I bought my bottle of water that a resident weirdo comes in every couple of months and slyly takes all the pickles out of the jar and runs out with the jar and the juice. And he said, this dude said, I have alerted the authorities multiple times. But they say there's nothing that they can do because he's stealing, but it's not like a priced amount. And I was like, may I offer a suggestion? Pickles, $1.99 each. Jar, $5,000.
Not